This is a duty I'm especially happy to discharge, as the impact of the environment on human progress was a subject close to the heart.
King Charles's huge coronation day held a secret drama. A lip reader caught his very frustrated words, never meant for anyone to know. Later, shocking news about the king made these comments incredibly telling. Let's expose his hidden feelings and the massive pressures he secretly faced on that historic day. A day of destiny, a crown of ages. For 73 years, Charles waited. His whole life was a preparation for a job he was born to do, but had to wait a very long time for. His mother, Queen Elizabeth II, had been the queen for 70 years, a steady rock and a symbol of doing her duty. When she passed away in September 2022, Charles finally became king. He was at an age when many people are thinking about retiring and taking it easy. His first days as king showed he was serious and ready. He spoke to the country with the sadness of a son who had lost his mother, but also with the strength of a king ready to lead. He named his son William, the new Prince of Wales, showing that the royal family had a clear plan for the future. For the very first time, the meeting where he officially became king, called the Accession Council, was shown on television. This was a big step, showing that this was a royal family for modern times. He met with leaders from all over the world, spoke to important groups in Germany and France, and even talked about the difficult parts of history when he visited Kenya in late 2023, expressing sorrow for past colonial-era violence. King Charles III was slowly showing the world what kind of king he would be, even as the shadow of his future health concerns was, unknowingly, beginning to lengthen. The coronation on May 6, 2023, was meant to be the most important, special moment to mark this new time. Westminster Abbey, the very old church where kings and queens have been crowned for almost 1,000 years, was decorated beautifully. Important people from every corner of the globe came to watch. The air in London, and indeed around the world, felt alive with excitement, a feeling of serious importance mixed with happiness. Britain and so many others watched as Charles and Queen Camilla got ready for the biggest public ceremony of their lives. Everyone expected the day to be perfect, a brilliant display of how strong and lasting the British monarchy is. The streets were filled with people, many waving flags, others holding up their phones to capture a piece of history. The sound of bells and distant bands could be heard, all adding to the feeling that something truly momentous was about to happen. Public support for the monarchy, while generally stable, showed generational divides even then, a subtle undercurrent to the day's celebrations, a point that analysts continue to discuss into 2025 as they reflect on the monarchy's evolving role. But under all the golden decorations and smiles, the huge pressure was there. You could almost feel it. The St. Edward's crown, so heavy with history and jewels, the old symbols of power and responsibility that he would soon wear and hold, the eyes of billions of people watching his every move. It was a kind of pressure most people could never imagine. King Charles is known as a man who cares a lot about getting things right. He pays attention to small details and understands the deep history of his job. Reports said he was involved in planning many parts of the coronation. He knew this ceremony wasn't just for him. It was for the whole country and all the nations of the Commonwealth. He wanted it to be a bridge between the ancient past and the future he hoped to help shape. A future that, as we now know, would soon present him with profound personal battles. But what secret worries did he carry into the Abbey that day? And how might they have slipped out? More on that hidden side of the king later. The Lip Reader's Vigil, catching the unspoken. As King Charles and Queen Camilla arrived at Westminster Abbey, they were riding in the Diamond Jubilee State Coach. This coach itself is a work of art, glittering and grand. But they were a little bit late, not quite following the perfect schedule that had been planned down to the last second. And at that exact moment, with cameras from all over the world pointed at them, the lip readers were watching very, very closely. These are skilled people, experts hired by news companies who can understand what people are saying just by watching their lips move. It's a special skill, like decoding a secret message, offering a rare, unfiltered glimpse into moments the subjects believe are private. One of these experts was Jeremy Freeman. He had worked on many big events before, watching famous people and leaders. He noticed several things King Charles and Queen Camilla said to each other. But one set of words spoken by Charles with a clear look of frustration on his face really stood out to him. Imagine the scene. The king, about to enter the ancient abbey for this most sacred of ceremonies, is instead visibly annoyed. The weight of the world, and perhaps his own unvoiced anxieties, seemed to crystallize in that brief moment. According to Mr. Freeman, and other lip readers later agreed, as King Charles waited in the coach, clearly upset by being late and by what seemed like a bit of a muddle, he turned to Queen Camilla. The words he spoke, captured by the silent observers, were, "We can never be on time. Yes, This is a negative. There's always something. This is boring." Some lip readers also picked up on him seeming worried about his robes or how the order of service was supposed to go, saying things like, "I'm worried about," or showing he wasn't happy with how things were being organized. These weren't declarations for the history books, but rather the unvarnished expressions of a man under immense strain. When this news first came out, most people thought it was just a small thing. "He's just nervous, it's understandable," said one TV commentator. "It just shows the king is human like the rest of us," another one wrote. People saw it as a king having a moment of normal stress before a huge event. It was quickly forgotten as the amazing ceremony began. King Charles, after all, is a true professional. He quickly composed himself. He walked into Westminster Abbey and went through all the ancient parts of the coronation, the holy oil, the giving of the robes and symbols, the crowning itself, with all the calmness and dignity everyone expected from him. The king was crowned, his new role made official in the eyes of God and the world. The day was seen as a great success, a beautiful show that mixed old traditions with a little bit of King Charles's own style. Although by May 2025, polls would indicate a public desire for future coronations to be perhaps smaller in scale, reflecting a changing perception of such grand events. The lip-read words seemed to disappear, just a tiny piece of forgotten news from a very big day. But history has a funny way of bringing things back, of making us look at old moments with new eyes. And those seemingly small words of frustration were destined to be remembered and re-examined. But why? What happened next that would cast them in such a different, more serious light, especially as the king himself would later speak in early May 2025 about the daunting and at times frightening experience of a cancer diagnosis? The phrase, "This is boring," if we understand it not as a literal dismissal of the important ceremony, but as a sign of deep tiredness with the endless, repetitive demands and strict rules of royal life, becomes particularly revealing. It hints at a possible inner struggle, the strong desire to serve his country versus the sheer exhaustion that can come from constantly being on show. It's a feeling that many people who have held very responsible jobs, even on a much smaller scale, might privately understand and empathize with. The king's journey is unique, yet touches on universal human experiences of pressure and fatigue, experiences he has now acknowledged more openly through his reflections on his cancer journey. What do these private royal moments truly reveal? How might they shape the monarchy's future? If you found this insightful, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below.